Hey guys, Got Bulletproof Saws. It's a different view for you guys today because my other bench in the shop is all covered with crap. Actually, there's one, two, three, at least four benches covered with chainsaw crap that I have to get through because it's becoming a little bit too unorganized for me to even think straight. There's another bench over there. So yeah, I have stuff everywhere, but part of this is I got my grubby hands on a couple of the Farmertc Pro saws, and I've been running the 372, and I made a couple quick videos on it that you guys have already seen, and then I got the 660 Pro in, and you know, instead of even starting it up, I ran in with my grubby little hands and start ripping it apart. So you could, I don't know if you can see behind me, I got a 660 Pro, the top ripped off. I got a 372 Pro back here, and I've been running them that I got ripped apart over here. And in what I'm doing, I wanted to compare different things. I probably bit off more than I should have. I probably should have done the 372 Pro, make a video. The 660 Pro, make a video. Then I have some 395 XP things to go over too and make a video. So anyhow, so what I did is, you know, like the child that I am, got into, you know, 10 different saws opened at the same time. Anyhow, what I really wanted to show you guys was, or at least talk to you guys about a little bit. I'm not sure how to do this, so this is just a me sorting through my mess video, guys. But I got a bunch of OEM 66 cylinders or 660 cylinders. I have aftermarket 660 cylinders. I have Neotech. I have Farmertc. I have the new Farmertc Italy technology, which I'm just going to call the Farmertc Meteor cylinder. Then I have the 372 Pro cylinder, and then I have a Farmertc one. I also have a Highway Titan nickel big bore, which, man, I think that it's too much for me to do all in one video, so I'm going to leave some of this stuff out. And to be honest with you, I might omit the 372 and the 372 stuff and just talk about the 660 stuff for a minute here, just so I can start cleaning up my bench and getting rid of this stuff. What I will tell you is the 372 does have a Walbro carb, but it's a different model number, and I'm going to post some pictures on my Facebook about the differences. And I don't have a 372 Walbro here handy. I gave the last two that I had away, Jesus, a year or two ago, and I haven't gotten any since, because you guys know I don't do a ton of Husky stuff. I'm starting to do more. So anyhow, it's a different Walbro, but the other thing is that the Walbro carb on the 660 isn't the normal 660 like in a WJ76 or a 69. It's not either of those. It's similar, and I get what they're doing, but it's different, and I'll talk about that. I guess the big things that I wanted to tell you is I don't see any, or I haven't noticed any differences between the Pro kits other than the piston, cylinders, and carburetors. The mufflers seem the same to me. The plastics seem about the same, and I did some measuring on plastics last night, and the Pro plastics were a little bit thicker. I'm talking a 10,000ths of an inch thicker. Maybe a little more than that, I can't remember. And that might just be because of the carbon fiber hydro dip sticker that they put on them might have added that thickness. So the plastics look exactly identical to me, same stamps, same mistakes in the stamping and the molding. It's all exactly the same. If it's a little bit thicker, I suspect it's only thicker because of the carbon fiber sticker. Anyhow, so things seem the same. This pull start is really nice. I know a lot of people who like these to begin with, especially on a high compression saw, which stock, I don't know that I consider that a crazy high compression saw. Let me get rid of this 372. I'm going to talk about these in another video. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of this, and I should get rid of that too. Give me a second here, guys. I'm sorry about this. I really didn't know how I was going to attack this. And I've been sitting on this for a week now. And if I don't attack it and just do something, it's not going to get done. So this stuff's been sitting around waiting for me to do something with it. Anyhow, let's get back to this. I wonder how that looks. If that gives you guys a little more light here. Because I might have to zoom in at some point. I don't know if that's good or bad. That looks bad to me, kind of. Can we make it so it doesn't blind you? Maybe that's horrible too. Boy, I don't know what to do here, guys. Anyhow, I'm going to talk to you about these cylinders. I have two steel cylinders. These are OEM 66 cylinders. One's a Moly cylinder and one is I believe these are made in Brazil. Now, the funny thing that strikes me is they're very similar, and I didn't time these two. I timed them on a different saw a while ago, so I don't remember offhand what the timing was. What I'm going to tell you, though, it's funny to have two steel cylinders with different plating. And I mean, the plating is totally different in these. One's a silver plating, one's a gold plating. Maybe I'll zoom in. I'll pause you guys and zoom in and show you that. Then I go to the new Farmertc Meteor, the Italy Tech cylinder, and this is the most beautiful cylinder I've seen. Like, there's highway cylinders that are absolutely gorgeous, and there's things that I do and don't like about highway cylinders. I use them a lot, but there's been some things I didn't like. It's funny, when you have a bunch of cylinders and you have a bunch of saws, you start to nitpick. So if I say one thing, like there's something that I don't like, everybody gets crazy. Oh, this, that, and the other thing is a major problem, when I might be nitpicking something so small, like that it's somewhat irrelevant. Anyhow, these are gorgeous cylinders, these new Farmertc cylinders. They have the best bevels I've seen on any cylinder coming out of Farmertc. The best look overall out of any cylinder I've seen come from Farmertc. And it's funny, guys, years ago, 3-4 years ago, you know, you'd get different cylinders from these aftermarket guys, and some of the fins would be mouse shaped. There'd be holes through some of the casting, not into the cylinder, well, into the cylinder occasionally too, but there'd be defects in them. You could see that these were not wonderful cylinders. And over the years, they've changed where they are cast so well. They're every bit as nice as this Moly cylinder. The casting, I mean, the outside of it, the fit, finish, quality is every bit as good as this Moly cylinder. Will it last as long? That I can't say. Is the plating as hard? I haven't ground on one yet, so don't know. But as far as the ports go, the ports are every bit as nice as this Moly cylinder. What's funny, and I'd have to put on the light here, is I think that the Farmertc Meteor has more of the color of plating as the Moly cylinder, because the Brazil steel 66 cylinder is so silver, it's different. It actually reminds me more of the Neotech plating, which I could talk about that too, and maybe I'll zoom in on this stuff. But as far as transfers go, I have two. I have a older Farmertc 54 millimeter. I have a Neotech 54 millimeter, and I have, within the last year, Farmertc 54 millimeter cylinder. And the older Farmertc, not old, maybe a 2-year-old Farmertc. I don't know. I have boxes of them, and I didn't mark expiration dates on them, so I'm not sure. But these two cylinders, the older Farmertc and the Neotech, and Farmertc changes stuff on the saws. Maybe the Italy Tech, they're not going to change. It's always going to be the Italy Tech cylinders, but on their other cylinders, they change a lot, because 5 years ago, they were doing these $ cylinders. Then they stopped for years, and then last year, I think it was last year, they started doing them again, and they were kind of nice, actually, and I think they were nicer than they were 5 years ago. But these two cylinders, the older Farmertc and the Neotech, have giant upper transfers. The lower transfers are pretty big too, and the transfers are actually bigger than either the Italy Tech or the OEM steels. So I find that kind of interesting, where people are are doing a lot of hogging out on transfers, making things bigger, which I guess you can argue when you start doing these upper transfers, whether you're going to impact velocity in a negative way, and at what point is it diminishing returns, and how are they shaping them, and there's a whole bunch that goes into that when you're porting a cylinder, more than I know. And even if you went to an expert like Donnie Walker or Tree Monkey, somebody who has forgotten more about saws than most guys know, they probably can't tell you every permutation of how to do things and how it's going to affect it. They probably have a pretty good idea, but there's so much to know. I bet you those guys are learning stuff all the time too, because I know I am. Not in the same league as those guys. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying there, guys. They've forgotten more than I know. Anyhow, so I got a bunch of different cylinders here, and you can argue about who has the best plating, who has the best chamfering, who has the best port timing, all of this kind of stuff. To me, I like these Neotech cylinders an awful lot on a lot of saws. The metal's harder, the plating's harder than the Farmertc. That being said, I've had aftermarket cylinders, you know, whether it's Highway or Meteor, that can chip when you're grinding on them, so they're hard to work with. I also see guys bitch about things aren't consistent. Well, they're not totally consistent with all the steel cylinders either, but you get more consistency with the steel cylinder than an aftermarket cylinder. And generally, I check anything that I'm using before I use it, because I don't trust any of the manufacturers anymore, because it seems like since COVID, a lot of stuff has gone to shit. Things that were always good are 90% good now, 85% good now, and I'm seeing more failures across the boards in everything since all of the COVID crap. It just seems like we haven't gotten our act back together with a lot of manufacturing. Not to go off topic here. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to pause you so I can talk about these cylinders and you guys can see them too, and I'll move you guys in closer just to show you some of the differences in what I'm talking about. Okay guys, I guess the whole reason I started this video was to talk about the Pro Saws and the piston and cylinder that comes on them. The cylinder that comes on them, I'm almost positive is a real Meteor. It's stamped Italy inside in the same place a Meteor piston is. And I'm going to go into weighing some of the aftermarket pistons on my next video, just to show you guys some of the differences. But here's the Italy Tech cylinder, and I hope this is focusing well enough for you guys. They have this mark on here, which I've had folks tell me this is an old Meteor piston mark, but I don't know that. The Meteor pistons or cylinders, my bad, the Meteor cylinders I've seen over the years usually have a MP for Meteor piston on the side, and on the other side they'll say Meteor. That's just what I know. I'm not saying there's not other permutations that I'm not aware of. That's just what I'm aware of. So what I've been talking about, guys, and what I really like about these cylinders, and hopefully this is focused nicely for you, is the beveling. Like if you look at that upper transfer, that's beveled wonderfully. The lower's beveled wonderfully. The intake is beveled wonderfully. I hope this gives you guys a good view. Maybe there's too much junk in the back. I'm better off there's nothing in the back as you're looking through that intake. One of the things that I don't like that I see in this, and I've seen in a lot of Farmertc saws, and I warn people about when doing squish on saws, is, I'm going to try to get it in focus here. I don't know if you could see all the way in the top of that cylinder. Let me see if I grab a little pointer stick. Up in the squish band, there's a little casting mark, and there's 4 of them in each corner. They usually come down 20 thousandths. And if you're taking your squish, let me grab a file. I can show you this even better, fellas. All right. So let me get this as much light in here as I can. Well, looks like I'm not going to get a ton. If you're looking in here and you could see this little line, that comes down at least 20 thousandths. I can feel that and touch that. What happens on your squish band is if you're using a piece of solder in a different spot and not hitting that, and you're measuring 20 thousandths, you may be hitting these little marks in the cylinder. So I did a whole nother video on that, mentioning it, so something to be aware of. Now, what I think you guys all probably want to see is if we grab a Moly cylinder. Hard to tell on the viewfinder on this phone if I'm in focus or not. I really hope I am, guys. I'll hit the button there. And it's a Moly cylinder. Let you guys look. Now, if you guys look, beautiful bevels. Squish band's a little bit nicer. If you could see it, it doesn't have those marks in it. Intake, beautiful. And maybe what I could do is, for you guys who want to see, I don't know a good way to do this, but I'd say the beveling is equally good on either of these cylinders. Is the port timing the same? I don't know until I put it on a wheel. Are they absolutely as beautiful as this Moly cylinder? Not quite, but boy, they're nice. Let's see, can we get a little exhaust view there? Just to give you an idea. And then what I don't know if I'll be able to show you guys in this is if I take this Moly cylinder, put this off to the side, take this other one, I don't know if the lighting will allow you to... I can see it through the viewfinder, so I think you guys can see it. Ports are a little bit different. It looks to me like this Brazil-made 660 steel cylinder has a bigger lower. You can see that the plating is different. Yeah, this one ran into some problems, and I got to see if I get that aluminum transfer off there. But I've been sitting on this for a couple years already, and I haven't done anything, so who knows. Well, let's get them in the same orientation. Maybe you could see they're just a little bit different. Not as easy as you'd think holding cylinders in front of a camera. I think even the upper's a little bit bigger on the Brazil cylinder compared to the Moly. You know, I'm going to end up this video as quick as I can and show you some differences. Here's the Neotech cylinder, and here's what I'm talking about. It was with those square upper transfers, and those lowers are huge. I guess the best cylinder in the world will be this Moly cylinder to compare it to. Maybe it gives you guys a little look. See, and then you could see on the Neotech cylinder, the lower transfer not being quite as pretty, but as far as being clean inside without casting boogers, it's not bad. I mean, I see where they kind of boogered that up, but you know what? I'm going to grind on that and change all that anyway, and I've really enjoyed those cylinders. So it's just something to look at. We'll take a Farmertc $ cylinder versus an older Farmertc cylinder, and I think you'll see some differences here too. Another Farmertc with a square upper transfer. I'm trying to juggle these with one hand and hit the focus button to make sure we're focusing here, guys. This might be horrible, and you can see what I mean by the $ cylinder on that. At least I can see it in there. See different shapes to the intakes. That other train. This is probably boring the hell out of you guys, but this is some of the stuff I look at when I'm messing with saws and doing cylinders. Maybe you guys have seen enough on this already. This one, it looks like I started cutting that squish band and then stopped for some reason, and I had some marks on it too, so I don't know what I was doing with this. It's been sitting on the bench for a long time. I'm going to pause you guys, get you back where we could talk. Okay guys, I know this isn't the best video and I'm kind of all over the place, and maybe you guys give me a hand and tell me what you guys want to see or want to know in something like this. But it's just a quick overview of some of the cylinders that we're working with. And I think I could probably pull out easily without straining myself too hard. I bet you I could get 4 or 5, I bet you I could get 10 different aftermarket cylinders, whether they're different permutations Farmertc's used over the years, different permutations Highway have used over the years, because I get different Highway cylinders and some I like better than others. And I think it has to do with where their molds are in their lifespan for how clean and tight the ports are. And I think some of the molds, because they don't just use one mold, mold a cylinder, use that mold again, mold a cylinder. I imagine they have gangs of molds that they're running, and they probably have A molds, B molds, C molds, and they're running through, you know, hundreds of these molds. And some of them have different port shapes, different port timing. Some of them have free port, some of them don't have free port, and I wonder if that's when a mold's getting to end of life if it gets a little sloppy. And I wonder if that happens to everybody, if it happens to Meteor, if it happens to steel, and you know, maybe steel uses a little bit better. You know, they use their molds for 1 month, and after 1 month they're all destroyed and they go to new molds. Whereas maybe Highway waits 2 months, and maybe Farmertc, whoever's making the cylinders for them, waits 3 months. I don't know, it's all pure speculation, but I'm trying to guess why I see differences. What I will tell you is I've seen great consistency in some of the models of Farmertc cylinders. Like if you get this whole, you know, if it's the $ revision, and I get 100 of these, they're all pretty much the same, and I know what to expect. Maybe some are going to be cleaner or dirtier, but they're not bad. And the other thing I'm going to tell you is I started doing pre-built saws again. They've gotten a lot better. They've upped their quality noticeably, and I'm pulling cylinders because I'm really curious, and I'm going through and bulletproofing some saws. And as I'm doing that, I'm actually pulling cylinders, and I don't know if anybody else does that. I think I'm the only dummy who actually rips off a cylinder because I want to look into it, because I've had cylinders that have had, you know, scoring in them from the factory. So I'm a weirdo. I pull cylinders, I look in them, and those cylinders are a hell of a lot cleaner. I wish I had a pre-built, well, I guess this is a pre-built pro saw, but I expect better out of that. I'll tell you what, the cylinders have been a hell of a lot cleaner. The flashing, the sand in the casting, and all the things that I've bitched about over the years with the aftermarket and Farmertc stuff, I don't see. And I've ground on enough of these, ported enough of these aftermarket cylinders now to tell you I really do like the Neotecs. They're harder to grind on, but I don't get the Nikasil flaking. So somebody might say, well, that's because it's softer, and Highway Nikasil's so much harder. Yeah, Highway Nikasil is harder. It's hard to work with, you know, if you're going to change anything. But a lot of times on Highway stuff, I don't change anything because it's pretty darn good, and they make pretty darn good power right off. And there's things that you have to look for. I know I've made a mistake on a Highway cylinder where I was cutting the base, done it a bunch of times, and didn't realize that the plating actually wrapped around to the base. So when I cut that plating on the base, it just cracked right up into the cylinder. It was a junk one. You know, you ruin someone, you're doing this. I've seen where cylinders have plating wrapped into some of the ports in a way that is going to flake off. Eventually that ring is going to make it break and come off, and it's going to be a mess. So I've seen stuff like that. But again, when you're doing aftermarket, if you're doing aftermarket right, you're inspecting the hell out of it as much as you can, and you're still not going to be perfect. We've had good luck, but like I said, I started doing the bottom of one and I missed that. My fault, caught it before you did anything. Obviously you catch it, but there's things like that that can happen, but you really have to look at all of these. And to be honest with you, I'd look real hard at the steel ones too, just as hard. Maybe they're not going to make some of the stupid mistakes, but they're not perfect either. You've seen me with videos with flywheels out of round and different issues, so it happens to everybody. Anyhow, guys, I don't know. I like these pro saws. I gotta play with the 660 more to have an opinion, but the 372 XP I've liked very much. I want to do some performance upgrades on them. Then I have some 395 XP upgrades I want to do for some folks on some saws. See if you guys are interested in. I don't know. I got a bunch going on. It's getting to be fall here. I need about 4 or 5 more cords of firewood because we use a lot of firewood and I've been slacking on that. And I have logs I want to mill before it gets freezing cold out. It's been raining the last week here, which we needed because we're in a drought. I'm trying to think of what else I want to tell you guys. If you guys ask, and if you're interested, I'll do another video comparing the carbs to Walbros. I know I have 660 WJ76s and probably 69s around to compare to the new Farmertc Walbro, which is definitely different. I don't know that I have a problem with it, and I don't know that I think it's a fake Walbro because I don't think it's a fake Walbro. Just like I don't believe that the cabers and the Pro Saws are coming with cabers. They're the F-style cabers. They're not fake either. The Meteor pistons aren't fake either, and I think they're calling them Meteor pistons, and they are stamped Italy, and they do look exactly like a Meteor piston. Not saying that they can't fake it exactly. I don't think they need to or have to, and I think that Farmertc's doing so much business that Meteor's smart to hook up with them and grow these businesses and make better products over time. It only makes sense for them to make a product and continue to make it better. I try to make my product better. I'm sure you guys make your product. Your wife wants to cook better. Your kids want to do better in school sports, whatever. We all try to do better. Anyhow, guys, I probably bored the hell out of you, and I apologize for it, but I had to get some of this out there and then cleaned off of my benches so I can move on with some work. Anyhow, guys, True Grit Scott, Bulletproof Saws. Thanks for watching and stay safe.